sunlight, but still, most likely that days are crowded. Yeah, there's a dark cloud that's shrouded. They don't smile and they never will. Only volunteers get the fill. Empty promises is what they hear. No running water from year to year. Hearts that no one desire. That if there is a Messiah, someday he hears their whispers clear. Covered always guarantee 10 people in a one-bedroom shanty. Wants to sell on the pavement. No vacancy, no employment. Cattle firecracker from gunshot. Not just flow when things get hot. Afraid to look out the window. When your voices from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, Lord, crying. Voices from the ghetto. Lord, Lord, voices from the ghetto. Help us, Father. Others just hold their head up, ball. And them woman stronger than a wall. Run in jail for manslaughter. Too bad for you, them bad boys. No bail, that's the black man's choice. Like shot, say, cover, take it, hell. She little girl, child belly, start to swell. Some say life is a cycle, but the draw she knows circle. Where will it all end, only time to tell. Outside the siren keep howling, inside your belly is rolling. Police raid very often, Simpson measuring a coffin. One night in bed you're sleeping, next night is a wake that you're keeping. So you're praying to win the lotto, not to hear voices from the ghetto. Crying, 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 voices from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, voices from the ghetto. We are not a forgotten people. Hear our prayer. With dented pride, they soldier on. Revolution, state politicians born. And often their tragic story brings a journalist glory. No wonder they view the world with scorn. From since the day they born, some call them rebels without a cause. These social victims of unjust laws, but yet they christen the heroes. Renegades, desperados, forever knocking on heaven's doors. Hear me? Steel band music shatters the silence. Harmony to conquer the violence. The young when cops approach, fighting for scraps with the cockroach. Young Turks, they're tough protecting. Almost every young girl expecting. So tomorrow begs till tomorrow. There'll be another voice from the ghetto. Crying, Lord, crying,
Good evening, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. My name is Jomo Thomas. The program you're about to listen to is called Voices. This is the Voices program for July 20th, 2026. And we are going to talk about crime and punishment and citizen security This evening, we are joined by a very important personality in the security apparatus here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I'm talking about no other than Deputy Commissioner of Police Trevor Buju-Bailey. I really want to thank him for coming on. He's always been upfront with the media. He has always chosen to come to speak to the media on sometimes very difficult questions. And I am sure that he and the entire police high command are trying to respond to what happened last Friday, where 3 persons were gunned down at about 11:30 a.m. just across from the police headquarters. But as is normal, I would do what I do. I don't want to say best, but I would do what I normally do. I would read my column for last weekend. That column is called Step by Step to Reparatory Justice. So I'll read that, and then we would get to Deputy Commissioner Bailey. But the issue of reparations is critically important, so we take that now. And Step by Step to Reparatory Justice. It's one of my longer pieces. You gotta bear with me. A high-powered delegation of Caribbean reparationists ramped up the push for reparations during a visit to London early this week. They were there July 13th to 16th. The delegation's mission was to strengthen the strategic partnership to promote a program of public education and civil society engagement on the reparations agenda. The members of the Caribbean Reparations Commission delegation were Professor Sir Hilary Beckles, chairman of the Caribbean Reparations Commission, Dobreen Omad, chairman Antigua and Barbuda Reparations Support Commission, and he's also a vice chair of the CRC. Eric Phillips, chairman, Guyana Reparations Committee and vice chair of the Caribbean Reparations Commission. Professor, outstanding historian, Vereen Shepard, vice chair of the CRC and vice chair of the CRC, and the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, and Ambassador David Comajong, Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM. In an important strategic development, Ron Daniels, convener of the National African Reparations Commission in the United States, also joined the delegation. Reparations advocates in the United States have credited the emergence, dynamism, and advocacy of the Caribbean Reparations Commission with infusing new energy and purpose into the reparations drive in the United States. Our African-American brothers and sisters are not new to the reparations cause. In 1865, when the Civil War in the United States ended, it was ordered that the formerly enslaved would receive 40 acres and a mule. But President Andrew Johnson, who served 1865 to 1869, reversed the order. On March 24, 2002, 137 years after the abolition of slavery in the United States, reparations lawsuits were filed in federal courts against a series of major American companies, including Fleet Boston Bank, New York Life, and Aetna Insurance. These companies were proven to have benefited from slavery. The case was dismissed for remoteness, meaning that it was brought too many years after the crimes of slavery had been committed. The Commission's visit takes place during a period of significant development in international reparations effort, and as CARICOM member states prepare for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Antigua, Bermuda. In March 2026, those persons who follow this program may know, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the landmark Ghana-led resolution declaring the transatlantic trafficking of enslaved Africans and chattel enslavement as the gravest crime against humanity. Following this important United Nations vote, Ghana hosted the high-level consultative conference on reparations in Accra in June 2026. Described as a historic turning point for Africans and people of African descent, the conference brought together governments, legal experts, civil society leaders, and international organizations to develop a unified framework for advancing reparatory justice worldwide. In another significant development, The revised CARICOM 10-point plan for reparatory justice was finalized and approved by the Conference of CARICOM Heads of Government, a manifesto for the coming enlightenment, as the new 10-point plan is labeled, which positions reparations as a global human rights imperative. CARICOM's reparations manifesto presented to the British parliamentarians demand that former colonial powers not only offer financial compensation, but also cede their colonial territories in the region. During the visit to the United Kingdom, Dr. Beckles, the CRC chair, called on Britain to give up its overseas territories as part of slavery reparations. The Caribbean region remained the most colonized area in the world, 66 years after the United Nations passed the historic decolonization resolution. Dr. Beckles told the United Kingdom newspaper, The Telegraph, "We are still here. From being the first part of the world to be colonized, the world has been maybe 90% decolonized. We cannot abide by the fact that maybe 20% of the population in the Caribbean are still living in colonies." Dr. Beckles, speaking for the CRC, said decolonization demands covers the British holding of Turks and Caicos, Anguilla, Montserrat, the British Virgin Islands, the Cayman Islands, and Bermuda. The independence of these territories would end the situation in which residents of territories colonized by Europe live as second-class inhabitants. He pressed the point by arguing that other territories, including St. Martin, Aruba, Curacao, Martinique, and Guadeloupe, have a legitimate claim to nationhood and freedom, which has been suppressed by the colonizers. Aimé Césaire and Frantz Fanon, anti-colonial giants from Martinique whose work on colonialism and colonial violence, whose work on colonialism and colonial violence did much to raise the consciousness of liberation fighters across the globe, will be pleased with these demands. In highlighting the renewed push for reparations from Caribbean and African states, Dr. Beckles said his commission felt compelled to beef up what was initially launched in 2014 as a 10-point reparations plan into a full-fledged manifesto that includes issues of decolonization, gender-based violence, and the effect of slavery on women who were sexually exploited and denied the rights of family life, and climate justice. Another demand is for the subsequent exploitative use of indentured laborers following abolition. The original plan, which successive UK governments have rebuffed, called for measures ranging from a formal apology to debt cancellation. The struggle for reparatory justice is more akin to a marathon than a sprint. This battle is not going to be easy. Still, it will be won once African people on the African continent and the African diaspora strengthen their commitment, guard their unity, and build up their organization. A disunited and unorganized people have never won anything. Already, there are increased aggressive pushback from the UK and other former slave trading powers. Britain has long dismissed the call for compensation, saying it prefers to look forward and not backwards, noting that slavery was legal. It has refused to issue a formal apology. Conservative forces in the United Kingdom are becoming even more strident in their opposition to any form of reparations payment. Some have even argued that the demand for reparations by formerly enslaved peoples perpetuate a historical scam. For example, the Church of England, recognizing that it benefited handsomely from the profits of slavery, had set aside £100 million to address the legacies of slavery. Currently, a protracted concerted effort is on the way to compel the church to renege on its pledge. Others say that British foreign development aid since independence of former colonies have more than compensated for the years of colonial domination. Barbados, our sister isle, neighbor, has pushed back against this argument with its own quantification plan, which shows that if the free labor extracted over the years of chattel slavery, using the wage of the lowest paid agricultural work in England during the same period, Barbados would be owed about £9 trillion pounds. There are also conservative efforts to apply maximum pressure on any formerly colonized country demanding reparations. The recommendation is for the United Kingdom government to deny visa access to nationals from those countries, in much the same way that these countries are threatening to deny visa access for any country in our region that has a citizenship by investment program. Responding to some of the anti-compensation arguments, CARICOM leaders through the Caribbean Reparations Commission have long insisted that the reparations movement is not about extracting billions from European powers, but working in partnership to develop the Caribbean, a region left with a burgeoning debt burden and numerous developmental deficiencies. Consequently, the new aggressive advocacy and diplomatic push by the Caribbean delegation is timely and critically important. It is worthwhile noting that Britain's legal argument about the legality of slavery is false. Chattel slavery was never legal in Britain, as the 1773 Somerset case proved. For those of us who don't know about the Somerset case, this was a case where an enslaved man by the name of Somerset, who lived in Jamaica, was taken by his master to England. And when he got there, some Quakers, some anti-slave activists said, hey, Somerset, you don't need to be enslaved to this man. The matter went to the court, and the court ruled because slavery was not legal in England, Somerset was made free. The argument that slavery was long ago and that the descendants of the formerly enslaved must pull themselves up and move on is also debunked with the disclosure by the British government that the 1833 loan of £20 million used to pay the enslavers after the emancipation in 1834 was only paid off in 2015. So it took these people between 1833, that's 67 years, that's 167 years, that's 187 years, that's 193 years to pay off that loan, 20 million. Remember that 20 million, it constitutes about 40% of the gross domestic product. No, about 5% of the gross domestic product of the UK, and about 20% of the budgetary allocation in 1833. The Caribbean, Africa, and much of the global South remain crime scenes as they struggle with legacies of genocide, slavery, and colonialism. We all know injury invites reward. The clamor is reparations now, reparations in our lifetime. Well, I know, Chief Bailey, I did mention in my column that the Caribbean is a crime scene. And I would appreciate that's up and down the Caribbean today, whether we are talking about Jamaica, St. Kitts, or Antigua, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, or Trinidad, we have serious problem. I want to thank you very much for joining us. And I want to start with a quote from Professor Justin Robinson. I don't know if you have had a chance to follow him, to read him, but he's a distinguished Vincentian intellectual. He is the Chancellor of the Five Island University in Antigua. He is a Vincentian. He's the son of the indefatigable activist. His mom, Lord, her name eludes me now. How could this happen? Nelsia Robinson, thank you so much. And he wrote a column a few weeks ago, and it's called, he says something about all me I watered done. And he was talking about, there's a paragraph in there in which he says, a cry for crime, because in a small island, one gunshot has too many relatives. It wounds the shopkeeper who closes early, the grandmother who stops sitting on the stoop, the child who learns the sound of silence after a siren. We must not become a people who count murders like cricket scores and move on to the next over. That was Professor Justin Robinson. Now, that's a profound thought. I have always celebrated Professor Justin Robinson, and I tend to post his views on my Facebook page. Do you agree with that? One gunshot has too many relatives. The shopkeeper, the grandmother, the child. We're not even yet talking about the people whose son or daughter are killed frequently. How do you respond to Justice, to Professor Robinson's comment in that comment?
Good evening to you, Mr. Thomas. Good evening to the listening audience of the very famous Voices program on a Monday evening on WFM. Good evening to all of the listeners on WFM, locally and in the diaspora. I am delighted to be on the program once again. I think this is my third or fourth time that I'm appearing on the program. And when I was asked earlier today if I can be a part of the program, I immediately, before I sought approval, I 80% committed myself right there and then.
Yes, I recall. I was quite pleased.
To the program. And I'm happy to be a part of the program. And I don't know if I can reply to Professor Robinson, but I'll say this much, that the statement is profound. Indeed, one bullet really touches more than an individual. It affects the entire nation. It has a ripple effect on communities, families, family life, and the consequences are devastating. So I say that in response that his comment, he has given us much food for thought in his comment.
That is the truth. One of the reasons why I wanted to have you come on is because we are plagued in St. Vincent and the Grenadines with violent crimes.
We are.
And we are particularly affected when mostly young men kill themselves or kill each other. As we saw last Friday evening, we saw a situation. The nation woke up on Saturday morning to a situation where 3 Vincentian citizens, if the reports are to be believed, 150, 134, and I think 124, 3 of them lay dead within close range from the police headquarters in Kingstown. Tell us what goes through the minds of senior police officers when you get such a bulletin.
Right.
Apart from not again. Not again.
I personally don't say that. I personally don't say not again.
Okay.
And I don't say that for the simple fact that of all the years that I've been working in the criminal investigation department, I don't believe that there is anything else that my eyes is to behold. I believe I've seen it. But regrettably, you have to ask the question, what goes through our mind. Immediately my mind takes me to what goes through a mother's mind when she is at home hearing that something like what occurred on Friday night has happened in Kingston, knowing that her son or her husband or the brother is not at home and that he's in Kingston as well. So, and I say that because when these crimes are committed, it is not only the police who are affected. Yes, we are charged with the responsibility of investigating crimes on a whole and incidents of this nature. But it affects all of us. None of us, it brings no joy, it brings no, it creates a feelings of fear in all of us when incidents like these happen. And more so, when it happens, you can say on our doorstep, it tells you, well, it leaves you to ask a lot of questions. Several questions have to be asked of ourselves and of our society. Internally, we have to ask ourselves if we are doing the right things. We have to ask ourselves, are we positioned to deal with the issues that confront us on a daily basis? Are we sufficiently staffed? Are we sufficiently equipped with the necessary tools to deal with the volume of incidents that are occurring in our communities and in our society? As a community, the question that has to be asked, are we willing to partner with law enforcement to rid our communities of these incidents? Because the truth is, the police officers arrive on the crime scene after it has happened. And more so, whenever we get there, several persons are there before us. People are actually there when the incidents happen. And if they are armed with the information that is critical and germane to us to bring the perpetrators of these heinous crimes to justice, if for one reason or the other they elect not to share that which they have, are we doing ourselves and our communities justice? And the argument, sure.
Go ahead.
And the argument can sway back and forth as to reasons why the citizens may be a bit apprehensive to come forth. And if we were to get into the reasons why, then the program, the allotted time.
Well, I don't want us to go to the reasons why. I don't want us to go to the reasons why yet. I don't want us to go to. I want us to circle back to something which you said. You said, "Are we doing the right thing?" I think you were talking about the state.
The state.
Right. Are we doing the right thing? That's for you to tell us. In your estimation, you have been a police now for about 35, 36 years.
36. A few months time will be 36.
Are we doing the right thing? Is the state's response correct? Are we doing what is right to arrest this spiraling problem?
We are on the right path. We are addressing the right set of people. And I speak specifically towards our youths. We are attempting to steer them away from a life of crime. But when we look at our statistics for the last 5-6 years, we have lost a great percentage of our young men to heinous crime. And if we keep this up for next, at the same rate for another 10 years, it will have devastating effect on our country, on our productive sector, on our reproductive sector. It will have severe consequences on our health sector. So we are on the right track.
What is that right track that you are saying that we are on?
Right, because if we realize that our youths are the ones who are mostly involved in these criminal activities, and I say so because the evidence suggests that we see who are killed, and when we effect arrest, we notice who we are arresting. It is persons of the same age group, the same age range. The accused are that as to the deceased. So if that portion of our community, they're killing each other, then addressing those who are immediately behind is critically important so that the cycle doesn't continue. We have to try and break the cycle where we see in some cases particular families have within it 2 and 3 generations where crime and criminal activities seem to follow that bloodline. So at some point, we have to target and ensure that such cycle is broken. Hence the reason I say that we are on the right path in steering away our youths down the path of criminality.
All right. And you said, are we positioning ourselves to deal with the incidents that are occurring? Your response again. You asked the question. I'm sure it's more than a rhetorical question. Are we positioning ourselves to respond?
And that's a very important question, because the response, as some will have it, does not rest entirely with the Royal Savings and Grenadines Police Force. The response has to come from an entire nation, spearheaded by the Royal Savings and Grenadines Police Force, because we are the ones ultimately who are charged with that responsibility to be the lead on such a response. But there are other agencies and groupings that has to play an equal part. For example, our greatest threat and the weapon of preference in committing these heinous crimes is the firearm. Yeah. Up until 8 p.m. today, I was not aware that St. Vincent and Grenadines has a factory that produces firearm. Right. So it tells me that they're coming from outside of our shores. So who is charged with the security at our ports, our airports and our seaports? Other than police, there is the customs. There's the port authority. and they have a very serious role to play in regards of the importation of goods into St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, as a partner in crime fighting, and I'm going out not on a limb, but stating a fact that the custom officers have to see themselves as well as not only an agent of collecting revenue for the government, but a partner alongside the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force in combating crime. Because if contraband, if illegal firearms and ammunition are coming through our ports, through the goods that are imported in the country.
Deputy Commissioner, you are making a very significant charge. You are implying or asserting that the influx of illegal firearms are coming through our ports. Is there any intelligence at all which supports that assertion?
Well, interestingly, that you have categorized it that way. I was drawing the parallel to show where we don't produce firearms in St. Vincent and Grenadines.
I understood that.
We know that they're coming from elsewhere.
Yes.
One way that the evidence suggests that they're coming is by way of importation through goods in St. Vincent and Grenadines, and there's evidence to support that. We have had instances where we discover firearms in barrels. There are instances when we found the firearm not in its original state, meaning not in one, but in pieces. A piece may be, a part of the firearm may be in a cereal box, another part may be in the bottom of a shoe. We have seen that. So we know that is one way. And all I was simply saying is that in response, in positioning ourselves as a nation, that several entities have to be on board, not just the police. And I am not divorcing ourselves, and I am saying categorically that we are the lead agency in crime fighting. But alongside us, we have partners.
Yeah, the reason why I asked the question, because if you have intelligence that these illegal guns are coming through the port, then that intelligence should lead to capture, seizure of these illegal guns, and should also lead to arrest, charge, and conviction, don't you think?
Right. So there's some, and I agree with you, but there's some discussions that we are unable to have in a forum like this, because and I will not dive into specifics with regards, but just to say that the evidence, some evidence do suggest that that is one way in which another way is by the sea. The persons who are engaged in the illegal drug trade, pretty often they exchange, let's say, our locally grown marijuana for firearms. So we have many keys and islets that these persons exploit. So our Coast Guard service have a greater role to play as well in this fight. So hence the question was asked, are we positioning ourselves? And I said that the response has to be a national one.
Yes. Good. So now I take the third question which you raised. Are we willing to partner with law enforcement to do, in your opinion, do you get a lot of cooperation from citizens? Do you get a lot of cooperation from young people, from people in the villages and towns? And if not, why not?
Right. So I am prepared to answer that. But I thought that you were going to lead off now, seeing that as a law enforcement, I am asking the question, if as a society, you're willing to partner with us. So I was really hoping that you will lead off, but seeing that you have
You were hoping what?
that you will lead off in that regard as to
well, I can if you want me to. I mean,
but I would love to hear you. I would love to hear you lead off on this one if you're willing to work with us.
I am more than willing to do that. But since
as an individual.
Yeah. Look,
yes.
All of us,
yes,
the vast majority of citizens want to have a relationship with the police. If something bad happens,
I believe
people call the police.
Correct.
People want redress.
Correct.
If people feel insecure, they call the police. If people
Correct.
feel
and you should continue to
impacted negatively, they call the police.
Correct.
So that relationship is one which people clamor for.
Mm.
The problem, I think, comes from the fact that the police don't want respectful relations with people. The police want to be feared. The police are, come to us as an occupying force. The police come to us as an aggressive force.
Strong language.
When I say us, they may not come to me, but I'm talking, you know, St. Vincent is a country of limers. We in the Caribbean, we like to lime. So you can drive from Kingston to Chateau or to Fitzhugh or from Kingston to Ovia, and you are going to meet clusters of young people and people not so young liming. And the police will roll up in one of those groups and they don't want to hear anybody say anything. When I talk, no goddamn dog back. And young people being who they are, one of them going to talk. And before you know it, somebody is going to be bleeding from the mouth. Somebody is going to be disrespected. And because they feel disrespected, they are going to respond. And that is going to escalate into something really bad. Because one of the big problems in St. Vincent, respectfully, Deputy Commissioner, is that the police have not learned the art of de-escalation. And I think one of the reasons for that is because the police force is no longer a police force to protect and serve. Over the last 10 years of the previous administration, the police force has become an employment agency. So it's not a place, and it's not an institution to protect and serve. It's an institution where, boy, let me see if we could channel some people in here. Boy, Minister so-and-so, give me a job. Go down to talk to Bailey. Bailey go push you in somewhere. Go down and talk to Williams. Williams go push you in somewhere. Go down and talk to Frankie. Frankie will try to find a place for you. So it became an employment agency. And there's
I've never had the opportunity to employ anyone.
Good. Well, good and bad. Because maybe you might know a good young youth in a village.
I've recommended forces for consideration.
You understand my points, though?
Yes, I understand you. I understand you fully well.
The partnership is something that people are willing to do, but the police are not willing partners. They alienate rather than pull people into their orbit.
So
I'm not sure you're going to respond to any of those things that I said.
Right. So let us take a few minutes to examine it.
Sure.
One, that the leadership of the police force, every opportunity that we have to speak to our members, the general membership. We advocate for the officers to practice good police public relations.
Right.
In no form do we accept any form of heavy-handedness or what we will deem as brutality from the police.
As my mother used to say, you could tell that to the birds.
No. I know.
The reality on the ground is not what you have just said.
I've heard you on several occasions citing a few instances where
I could cite more, you know. I just think those choice ones.
Right. So I've heard you on numerous occasions citing some very unfortunate incidents, but there are a lot more persons out there who can call either this program or any other program and speak to instances where police officers have been more than helpful. And
I don't want you to get the impression that police don't help nobody.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Police,
I agree with you.
Police intervene every day.
Right. But what the point I wanted to underscore is that, yes, I am agreeing that there are times when we fall short from grace. But we, as a community, I don't want the community to paint the entire organization with the same broad brush and say that we come over as an occupying force. No, we don't want to create that picture at all. We want
do a poll asking young people what they think about police in St. Vincent, particularly young men. Do a poll in any town, any village in St. Vincent, and see what you come back with. In fact, that's what you should do in this new page that you all plan to open up.
Yes.
Spend some time. I know you all have an intelligence unit. I used to use it for politics. The former government used to tell you, go out and see what people think about us. Do the poll. Send your officers out and ask young people, what do you think? Send some of them out in plain clothes, or hire some people. Do a poll. Get the government to give you money to do a poll and ask them, because that would be a good basis upon which you can respond. The police in St. Vincent, if the police were stocks, they would be junk bonds. Nobody would buy them. And there's a reason for that.
Well, it is sad that you've reached so far to the level to say that we're a junk stock. But
yes.
junk bonds. But I don't agree. I don't fully agree with
I'm not asking you to agree.
Right.
I want you to do a poll.
Right. I mean, I welcome the suggestion to do the poll, because it will be instructive to know how we are viewed, and if we know what the issue is, then the necessary corrective measures can be undertaken. Exactly. Right. So, but I want to give St. Vincent and the Grenadines the assurance too that on a daily basis, the members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police
I think we have some connectivity problems.
That's safe. We do so with all honesty and sincerity.
We lost you for about, well, I don't know if everybody did, but I lost you for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Oh, wow. So I was making the point that on a daily basis, we the members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force, we do our endeavor best to try and ensure that St. Vincent and the Grenadines remains a very safe place, and that you can go about in every nook and cranny and every corner store, every corner shop, and conduct your business, your daily life in an environment that is conducive for living and livelihood.
Right.
And I want to take the opportunity to say thank you to the members of the force for doing this consistently on a daily basis, sometimes under very harsh circumstance. You know, when you launch from when you have a staging area, you want to believe that your staging area should be real comfortable and cozy, so that when you come from the hot sun, that you can come back to some relative ease and comfort. And sad to say, where we stage from on a daily basis, sometimes the harsh reality of the sun is more comforting than the staging area.
I am with you. I am with you. And you know that we have had numerous conversations about police comfort and everything else.
Yeah,
because when people leave their homes and come out to do work, and you big men, some of you go home at 4 o'clock and tell people they had to do 48 hours straight and so on. It's a difficult thing to do. So I understand the frustration. I'm not sure how much psychological training police officers receive and so on. It's a difficult, stressful task.
It is.
And when you stress people out in the ways in which police officers are stressed out, there's bound to be negative fallout. But you know what the police problem is? They don't deal with the negative fallout. I mean, what is it? 6 weeks, 8 weeks ago, within less than 100 feet from the police barracks, 6 police officers brutally beat a handcuffed, mentally deranged man. That's the information in the public domain. And I haven't heard anything from the police except for the mealy mounted statement which you all give just after the incident. I have not heard anything from the police. Those guys, unless you make example of what you all call bad eggs. I don't believe it's a bad egg. I just think it's a whole tray. There's a whole tray of criminality, quite frankly. But unless you make examples of them, people are not going to have any respect for the police. I mean, I mention all the time, take Mackenzie. Mackenzie was a sergeant. He goes to St. Lucia with young Vincentians. Big man, he's supposed to be taking care of them. He improperly suspects a 15-year-old boy, Damali Phillips, of doing something. He assaults him. He fires a bottle of cream at him. And there was nothing in the public domain after that story broke to say that Mackenzie was disciplined. More than that, within 2 months after that incident, you know what? Mackenzie was promoted from sergeant to inspector. So when you have those kind of incidents, right? You have Mohamed Lavier shoots a man, take that in your mother. The court sanctioned him. The state paid over $100,000 for his transgression. I wrote to former Commissioner Colin John. I wrote to the Director of Public Prosecution, Sajila McDowell. John didn't respond. McDowell didn't respond. That police officer, Lavier, was sent away for special training. And as a slap in the face of society, on the same week that Justice Sidak Dante ordered the state to pay $113,000 to Okino Fargas, the police public relations put out a statement in your face. Look, we just sent Mohamed Lavier just returned from FBI training. He's one of the leaders of the police force. I mean, how you expect you're going to win public support with actions like that?
Right. So I'm glad you mentioned
And I could go on. I could go on and on. I could go back.
right. I know you can cite. I know you can cite other instances, but the matter that you refer to, that incident that occurred outside the barracks,
Yes.
I can safely report to St. Vincent and the Grenadines that that matter has not been swept under the carpet.
Well, you can't
That's
report
not
it, we don't know. We want transparency.
right. The investigation is being led by an assistant superintendent of police.
Well, they're taking too long.
No.
They're not open and shut case.
You will agree with me
Oh, they're
that
taking too long.
if it is rushed,
No, it's
and
not rush. It's an open and shut case.
no. We don't want to debate or have any. Let us not debate it in public. But I can safely say to you that it has not been swept under the carpet. A very thorough investigation is being pursued. And I know that on Wednesday of this week, the investigating officer is going to sit with the Crown Counsel at the DPP's office to have a discussion on the matter. I am prepared to say that much. So, having said that, that is a clear indication to you, sir, that it has not been swept under the carpet. And I'm sure that, well, I want to believe that the result will be known to the nation, just as how the video emerged. We will all see and hear of the outcome of this matter.
Well, I pray the day when that happens.
It will, sir. You will know for sure. I am sure that you, more than any other person, will know.
I pray the day. And the whole the only people who would not celebrate it, if those guys are thrown off the force and are convicted, are their family members because they would lose a job. But we have to make examples out of people who bring the police force into disrepute. It's the only way you're going to win the confidence of people.
Right, and we from the leadership point of view, we want these kind of incidents to stop. And as a deputy commissioner of police acting, I say to the members of the Royal Civil and the Grenadines Police Force that if any one of us were to be on the receiving end of such treatment, we will not go to bed feeling pleased. If our brothers or sisters was affected in that manner, we won't feel pleased that an officer did these things to a member of our family. So therefore, if it will affect us adversely in that way, acknowledge as well that you're dealing with another human being and that person, they have family as well. Big men have children, and it is heartbreaking for a child to witness their father to be treated in those kind of manner. It can have effect, and hence sometimes here's where I agree with you somewhat, that if a child witnesses father being treated in that manner, if he ever encounters a police, he will not be smiling and pushing his hand to have a handshake. He will have an opinion of police that is not so welcoming.
Absolutely.
I acknowledge that.
I want to take you back. Thank you
Sure,
for that. I want to take you back to last Friday and the killing of the 3 persons.
Sure.
I want to take you back. I remember some months ago, I think it was sometime in 2025, you made the bold pronouncement that St. Vincent is plagued by gangs. That did not go down well with the political establishment because the former prime minister was adamant that we don't have no gangs. So you put your neck on the block. Maybe that's why you're still acting. To say, yeah, we have gangs. So I want to
We
ask
do.
you,
We do have
based
gangs.
on, based on what happened last Friday, where those 3 men were gunned down, do you think does your intelligence tell you that that incident is a gang-related incident? And when I say yo, I don't mean you individually. I mean
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I get you. I get you. And to that, I'll say there's some resemblance. Yes.
And what are the clues that point to gang-related activity, without disclosing any
Say
operational?
that again. What are they?
What are the clues that point us to gang-related activity, without disclosing any operational security?
But you know, I will never do it. No, there is affiliation. We know for a fact, from law enforcement point of view, we know the affiliation of persons. Our investigation is pointed us in a particular direction. This crime will not go unpunished. And I sometimes I stick my head out, but I'm saying to the Bowens, to Grant, and to the John family who lost their loved ones. You know, the organization expresses its deepest condolences. That in itself may not necessarily bring the easing of pain that you feel in the loss of a loved one. But this crime will not go unpunished.
But Deputy Commissioner, how many times have we been hearing that now? Since 2011.
I can't remember. I can't remember saying to you
We have had,
or any other person
well, not you.
in any public pronouncement that a specific crime will not go unpunished. But I'm saying that this crime will not go unpunished.
Well, that's good news. And we hope something breaks soon.
Right. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines has generally cooperated with law enforcement. We can come to a common understanding that yes, there are times when, of our own making, meaning the police, we force our partners, meaning the general public, away from us. But generally, St. Vincent and the Grenadines does not want to see crimes, criminals, and criminality flourish in our land. None of us want that. That affects all of us. It affects every sector. It affects our tourism. It affects the mindset of our people. Because a lot of times we focus on the external factors and we tend to exclude what happens right here at home. But it affects our people negatively. It affects our local businesses. If our people are scared, they won't even go out to the shop to buy a 3 for 10. So we can't afford to have that.
That's the point that that Professor Robinson was making in the quote I started the program off with.
Correct. So none of us want that. I want St. Vincent and the Grenadines to continue to see the police force as a partner. I know that the time has changed. But if all of us stands together, criminality will never win. We are not prepared to surrender not a single inch of any territory in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I've heard you say that before.
To any criminal or any criminal gang. And I'm saying it again. And I agree that I've said this. We're not surrendering any territory.
There's someone by the name of Lorna Backus. She says our police force need to become more trustworthy. How do you respond to that?
Right. So I've heard this on several occasions. And I will say boldly to you, Mr. Thomas. Separate and distinct from someone saying that. If I have the evidence tonight at 9:07 p.m. that Officer A or Officer X has divulged past any sort of information, alert, a criminal element of any police activity or of any intelligence gathered, tomorrow morning, that person, whether or not my other colleagues are with me, can be a member of the police force. We can be of the same service. It has to go beyond someone just saying that. We have to have, because equally, the evidence, the same level of evidence that the threshold that we have to meet in the court, it has to be met when we're dealing with our members internally. Other than that, I will have you breathing down my back to say that I've acted arbitrarily and unlawfully. So the evidence has to be real and could withstand the test of time. And if we have that, and I've seen it happen before, where Commissioner Miller was provided with some information, and he rightfully dismissed that female officer from the organization. Rightfully, that is the right thing to do. And if I am provided with such evidence, if Commissioner Williams, I'm sure, if he is provided with such evidence, that person is a goner. Those things will receive not an ounce of sympathy. You just have to go, because you're endangering not only people's life, you're endangering even your colleagues' life. So we're not going to tolerate that kind of behavior. But I've heard it. I've never seen the evidence separate and distinct from the one time when Mr. Miller acted. Right. And he acted correctly. So people, if people have that information, by all means, find somebody in the leadership that you're extremely comfortable with speaking with, and provide us with the information, and you will have positive action.
What do you perceive to be the biggest weakness, the biggest shortcoming in terms of the police toolkit that disallows the police to do more in terms of crime fighting and crime solution? And Naylor John Prince says there are no forensic labs.
Right. And I agree. But that's right there is where I want to go. I wish that we had locally, Mr. Thomas, our own forensic lab to aid our investigation. I'll tell you this. Now, if someone is suspected of shooting a firearm, and within a half an hour after the incident, that person is taken into police custody, and our crime scene persons swab the hands and so forth for gunshot residue. That residue have a lifespan. If we had our local lab, that within hours we can properly submit to the lab the sample, it will aid our investigation tremendously. But when we have to store it and make a request to a foreign lab, and then they have to reply and say that we are unable at this time to provide the service, down the road, 2-3 months, it makes no sense. So if we are able to do some simple testing in a quick time, it will aid the investigation tremendously. If we're able to get our exhibits on the scientist desk for DNA purposes in a quicker time, that too will help us tremendously. I want our people to understand that we cannot just package any piece of exhibit and just send it. A request has to be made, the lab has to respond, and they will give a time frame when we can bring. And sometimes you're placed in a waiting line. We can't stay in St. Vincent and push the knob for the lab in St. Lucia or Jamaica or even Quantico in the US. We have to wait.
Let me ask you this though.
Sure.
What is the approximate cost of constructing such a lab? I mean, Little Montserrat has a lab, but I know Montserrat is a British colony, and they can probably benefit from the largesse from the colonial power. But in a practical sense, what is the approximate cost of a lab that could do at least basic things that you are asking?
I know that this administration has recently had a consultant from overseas. They came to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Presentation was made to the police. The presentation was also made in cabinet room to the cabinet of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The conversation has moved from, it has moved from a conversation, and they actually walk in numbers. A place has been identified, and the government is moving swiftly towards us having a facility. I know that some funding has been identified.
Wow,
and from where I sit, I will take this toothpick and keep poking until it materializes, because I know of its importance. I know of importance not only to us as law enforcement, but to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. For too long, we've been depending on the outside help. And there's something that we just need to do for ourselves to make us a really independent nation, so we can help ourselves. Yeah. So I know that the government is looking towards that direction with some haste.
Right. If you conclude that we have a serious drug problem in St. Vincent, are there things, practical things that can be done, that should be done, to help us to stem that emerging problem?
The drugs?
Gangs.
Gangs, right. Indeed. Now, here's where, again, we're calling on all of our partners. We're calling on the most valuable institution, that of the family. The family structure has to be maintained, and parents have to speak with not only the boys, because I'm seeing evidence suggesting that even our girls are gravitating towards this grouping. The church, the NGOs, the different clubs, the Seraptomists, all of us have to come together. The schools, the counselors, the police, all of us have to come together and redouble the effort, because all of the above mentioned are doing something. But what I find is that we are acting unilaterally. So there needs to be some sort of cohesiveness because one grouping may go today or this week, next week, and next grouping will go. And the message most times is structured around the same theme. But if we can structure this message and move as one unit, I feel that we can make a vast difference rather than each grouping take the individual task of spreading the same message. I don't know. Maybe the time has come for us to consider anti-gang legislation. Maybe it's a conversation that
I saw somebody in the chat say earlier in Jamaica, if somebody is found with a gun, they get life in prison. Is that one of the policy positions you would support?
Not life, being honest, but I think that our law, now the laws in St. Vincent and Grenadines in respect to guns is too relaxed, and there's too much authority.
Somebody, go ahead.
The law code has too much discretion. I will support.
Discretion. What's
yeah,
the
they have too much discretion.
What's the discretion? Somebody gets caught with a gun, you're gonna get between 4 and 6 years.
You can get up to 7 years. But
right,
we're
going to get
right.
between 4
but
and 6 years.
we often see 2 and 2.5 and 18 months.
Nah, not for gun crimes.
Not
Not for gun crimes. Not
yes, 2.5 years.
No. The only way that happens is if that person assisted the police in something. But if you pick up somebody off the street now, and that person is pleads guilty, or if the person pleads guilty, so you automatically gets a 1/3 off. So remember, the statutory limit is 7 years.
7 years.
But the Court of Appeal has said you cannot start with the statutory maximum. Right? So somebody is caught with a Glock, goes to the court. Somebody like me who thinks that look at the evidence, you say, boy, I don't see how you can beat this, Person say, all right, plead guilty. Court starts at 5. He gets 1/3 off. So he's probably down to 3 now.
Down to 3.
And then he might have give some information to the police that allow the police to get another gun off the street. He's down to 2. But if there are none of those mitigating circumstances, he's gonna get 5 years.
Right. So
you think it should be more than that? You think it should be 20 years?
When the court imposes its sentence,
yes,
and you follow the guidelines,
yes,
and at the earliest opportunity, he gets his 1/3 discount. Remember, whatever the final sentence is, when he reaches the prison is also giving a further 1/3 again on that. As mandatory. So
not 1/3, 25%.
So you see, there's a further reduction even when he reaches the prison further deducts.
But that deduction is not automatic, That deduction is not automatic.
I will support.
The deduction relates to the person's situation in the prison. If the person is a bad behaved prisoner, he's not going to get the discount.
No, check it out. At the beginning of the sentence, the discount comes at the beginning, not necessarily.
The discretion belongs to the prison. It does not belong. It's not automatic. Ask your brother.
And that's why
he was there for many years.
But and I say to you, I will support that the penalty for firearms in St. Vincent be stiffer, that we start at a minimum of 7,
right,
and not exceeding 14.
Not exceeding 14.
Not exceeding 14. So So the magistrate will never be able to drop below 7, but he can't exceed 14. Because it is that serious.
You think that would do what?
Right. So it does two things. One, it sends a serious message that we're not tolerating guns in our society. And two, we are saying, if you're caught with a firearm, be prepared to be away from your family, your children, your community, and whatever you love for a period not less than 7 years. Not less than 7 years.
I had a criminologist, a Jamaican criminologist, on Voices a few weeks ago.
Okay.
And Professor Dr. Corin Bailey, your namesake.
Huckabee Bailey.
And he says there's no evidence at all.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere in the world.
Mm-hmm.
There's no evidence nowhere in the world that
Mm-hmm.
supports the view that stiffer sentences cause a reduction in crime.
Well,
So if you want, he says, if you want to do feel good, you could do feel good and build more prisons. But the evidence don't support the argument.
right. Now, I wonder if the professor ever did a study in St. Vincent and the Grenadines where it regards to person reoffending. Because I tell you this, Mr. Thomas.
There's reoffending all over the world, Deputy Commissioner.
Right, but the frequency in which the offenders in St. Vincent reoffend.
There's a frequency. We have a 40% recidivism rate.
Correct. So you practice in your code.
Almost the same.
You practice in your code, and almost every week you go to court. You basically seeing the same faces. And when someone goes in and he does a 9 months or 12 months or 18 months, within a matter of weeks, when he's out, you see him on the bench again and you're like, really? It's the same.
I don't see that. I don't see that.
No, you probably won't see that because you have another potential client. And
the reason why I don't the reason why I don't see that is this. I know why these guys are recidivists. There's no rehabilitation in the prison.
No, there's attempts. No, to be honest, there are attempts to rehabilitate in the prison.
There's no rehabilitation in the prison. So by and large, when a prisoner goes to prison 2-3 years, right? Let's say he get a 3-year sentence, he spends a 2-year sentence. That prison could well sit in that prison for 2 years and never had a single opportunity to do anything that may put himself in a place that allows him to get mainly him to get a skill that will allow him to keep body and soul together. And the vast majority of people who go to prison are people who do not have the wherewithal to keep body and soul together. So the society needs to look at itself and say, how are we going to help people to do the kind of things that may take them away from the ill-disciplined life that they had lived for probably 5-10 years? And the society does not do that kind of interrogation.
Good. In the prison, I am aware that there is a functioning carpenter shop. Mechanic work is being done in the prison. Masonry work is being done in the prison. Craft is being taught in the prison. Education activities take place in the prison. The prisoners who wrote subjects from behind bars. The prisoners who, when their sentence finished, left prison with substantive amount of cash in his name, that they were able to come out and start living with monies earned in the prison. I saw today, my brother showed me photograph of some work that was done in the prison, and I could not believe it was done in the prison, where the prisoners are using is epoxy and adding other colors and doing marvelous work, producing excellent furniture.
The point I'm
So
trying to make.
if you want to learn, the opportunity is there.
The point I'm trying to make is that you do not have sufficient. You do not have sufficient. It's not that you don't have carpentry. Look, you guys have a carpentry division in the Central Police Headquarters. And for years, the police headquarters is breaking down. And nobody.
You saw some changes. You have seen some changes.
No, let me make the point, because it goes to the point that you're making. For years, it was breaking down, and nobody in that carpentry shop and nobody in the police high command said, no, this is a disgrace. I can't be walking in through this. And I guess you guys used to come in through the fire entrance, drive in there so you don't see the front of the print. So yes, some things are being done, but I'm saying enough of it is not being done. So you don't have the kind of rehabilitation. I mean, the court has said that. This is just not Jomo Thomas. The Court of Appeal has said that time and time again when it comes to St. Vincent.
I think what has happened with our carpenter unit is that it has been strengthened. For too long, we were saying that we had one, but it was poorly staffed. Right. And it has been strengthened, so hence you will see more restorative work being conducted, and not only St. John, but other police stations. But again, it is dependent on how the resources are allocated. The resources that is scarce, you know. If I wish, if all of the police stations in St. Vincent and the Grenadines were to be repaired and equipped with the necessary tools that we need, it will consume the national budget, you know. It will consume the national budget.
We don't have to fix all of them at once, but we definitely need to fix them, because I've gone to some police stations. It's an abomination.
Man, there are several stations that really need some love.
Some people may need to call, so those persons who want to call, you can reach us at 457-9997, 457-9997. You can also send the WhatsApp messages, 457-9997. Someone is complaining here. Veral Sherman says, when you call the police to make a report, they want your name.
I'll say this with that. If you call to make a report, I can't respond to a report, but if I don't know who I'm going to. If you're calling to share some information,
right,
I may not necessarily need your name because you're sharing some information. But if you're making a report that you expect the police to respond to, you gotta give us something for us to respond to. So we can't come in Greg's and ask for, well, somebody make a call. Who are we gonna find? So if you're making a report, it is expected that you will give your name so that we can respond to the report. If you're sharing some information, I say to police, you don't need the person name.
I think everybody will agree with that. Lennox Lampkin wants to know, why is there a charge for a police report?
Well, that is government, not necessarily police. That is government policy. So if you require a report, let's say in an accident for insurance purpose, the preparation of that report is gonna cost you $100 easy. If you're applying for a police record, you know you have to pay $10. Those are government positions.
Why does it take so long to get a report? I know I've applied for police report, and a basic simple accident report has taken more than a year.
So something has gone terribly wrongly. An accident report from the police who have already investigated an accident, 1 week is the most in which you should get reply. 1 week. 1 year, something went terribly wrong.
You never get a report in 1 week, I can tell you that.
We have a caller.
Caller, good evening. It's time for your voice.
Yes, good evening. I just want to make a point and get off the line because I know the people may make a contribution, so you could answer while I'm gone.
Yes.
Now, I want to say something because Mr. Buji Bailey was talking about it, but for whatever reason, he left it alone. And I want to raise it because I've been raising it for years. Now, no way in the Caribbean have a gun shop or manufacture gun. 95% of the gun found in the Caribbean, if you do whatever examination, you will see they come out of the United States of America. With all the technology and all the sophistication that they have, why are guns so easily come out of America? But you will never get a gun going to America that easy a bomb. That is number one. I would like to know.
But you would agree that America has much more sophisticated facilities that may protect against that entry, though.
Thank you very much.
You can compare St. Vincent with America in terms of detective devices.
I am saying to you, I'm not comparing St. Vincent. I'm saying to you, America could do much more that they are doing to stop the guns leaving and affecting.
Oh yeah, but they can. America don't want to do nothing.
Over the years. Okay?
The point is taken.
A real conversation need to be done. Start. The Caribbean collectively should go to America with this because it's unfair and unjust over the years. Gun drop in Jamaica over the years. You and I could have this conversation because we know the history. Guns drop in Haiti and guns in Trinidad, guns in St. Vincent, coming to contain and barrel and all kind of things out of America with all the technology. As I say, this we want the conversation. Secondly, I want to say to you, to Mr. Thomas, I want to ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, what percentage, what the attitude of young people today, in your view, as a lawyer, a well-educated enforcement, what is the attitude of young people between the age of, let me say, from 10 to 11? I would like you to tell me the attitude.
10 to 11?
From 10 to 20. From 10 to 20, I mean. Sorry. Thank you.
20? Well, I think as a general rule, young people are good people. I think they do.
When you walk around St. Vincent special, that is your honest view. When you walk around St. Vincent.
Yes, that is my honest view.
You're talking about?
That is my honest view.
That is the honest view. All right.
Yes, I don't think young people as a rule are disorderly or criminal minded. I don't think so at all.
Okay, that is your view, and I'm going to tell you now, as somebody who are around the blocks and the byways and the highway.
Me too.
Listen. I want you to listen to me, and then you could pay attention. Same way you tell Mr. Buju to go and do a survey, I like you to do the survey.
So I do the same thing every day. Don't underestimate what I do.
Yes, I okay. Listen to me, please. Well, bring this.
I am listening to you. Make the point because we're running out of time.
Yes. You're right. Listen to me, please. I'm telling you, the attitude of the young people today in St. Vincent and around the Caribbean is changed tremendously. And the police, however, have to find a way to reach them, but they also have to find a way to respect the police too. Young people today have no respect for no police that easily. And let us not fool ourselves. And this is why we have a lot of confrontation between the police and the youth. And because as police pull up, there is some aggressive police. But as police put up, somebody in the crowd, as you just say, go in and start to speak and start to talk and believe you. Why you can't just keep your mouth closed and let the police do what they do? As the man was calling out in his video. To a friend. Hey, just let the police search you. Did you hear that? You hear
why must you just let the police search you? If a police rolls up on you, why must you just let the police has to have reasonable, this is a country of laws. The police are not just supposed to come up to you and want to search you. The police has to have reasonable suspicion to want to search you.
And if they do, yes, if they do, I want to go. And if they do tell you that, then there is not. If you know you don't have gun on you or weapon on you, it's not a crime. It's nothing wrong.
So you are making a ridiculous argument. You are making a ridiculous argument. You're making an argument that police say all the time, which is totally and completely legal. Oh, if you don't have anything on you, why you don't want to allow for a search? No, you have to have reasonable suspicion. That's what the law requires. Anyway, thank you for calling.
While I agree that we know the changes and what is being around the street of Kingston today.
No, you're saying the same. You're saying the same thing. You're saying the same thing over and over. We cannot allow you to do that. Thank you so much for calling. Call again. You want to respond to anything that young man's? Well, that young man, I'm not sure if he's young or old, but that person said he sounds young.
We are on the same page with regards to the issue of the firearms coming out of the US into the Caribbean region. We at one. Well, I am at one with him in that regard. I can't speak for you. I'm at one with him in that regard. And the issue of the police, you are correct that the law does not give us the authority to just go and search an individual arbitrarily like that. We have to form some sort of suspicion before we can conduct that search. That is what our law specifies, and we have to operate within the ambit of the laws of civil celebrations.
Winston Young says he wants to thank you for always making yourself available to the media. And Jules Morgan says in Jamaica it's 15 years mandatory. And even right, 15 years mandatory. And how does that solve the problem, the crime problem in Jamaica?
We have a caller.
Caller, thank you for calling. It's time for your voice.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, Mr. Thomas. Good evening, Mr. Bailey.
Good evening, sir.
So, Mr. Bailey, let me first congratulate you on your promotion as Assistant Commissioner. I always think you have been doing a good job for St. Vincent, and we need more officers like you who would stand up and not afraid to, to say what is right and speak the truth. But because I know police work is very hard. Policing job is very, very hard, and you have shown that you are a very, very good police officer throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But I want to ask about a couple of cases. Where are the investigation so far with the Frankie Mitchell case on Beckway? And also on the case that took place up at the Beckway Wharf several years ago. I would hang up and listen to you off here.
Great. And I want to respond to that because as recent as today, that he said Frankie Mitchell, but I believe he referred to the Gooden case in Beckway.
Yes.
I believe it's the same post.
I think so too.
Right. So we had that conversation up to today. And we are, and I'm glad he asked, we are seriously considering going to the stage of exhuming the body. We are that serious with this matter that we have to find the killer in this case.
But what would exhuming the body do though? I'm not
going to go into that aspect of it, but you will clearly appreciate that it could only be for forensic purpose. And we prepared to go back there to revisit. Because we're not going to give up on this matter. We are not giving up on this matter. We are convinced that we have what it takes to make an arrest in this matter, and we are prepared to go there. If we have to, we're going to go there.
But Chief Bailey, we have about 600 homicides in the last 15 years.
I know you were going to say that. I know you were going to make.
We have an abysmal arrest rate. We have an abysmal conviction rate. So when you tell us that you wouldn't rest, you know the concept of a cold case. If a month goes by, 2 months go by, a year go by, 2 years go by, we could kiss that conviction goodbye.
And this one, you may be on the defense team, but you're not kissing this one goodbye. You may very well be on the defense team. Your firm may be employed.
No, I'm not. My firm is not employed with
that. Kudos to you, but you're not kissing this one goodbye.
No, I'm not asking that. I'm not. Listen, I am.
This one is not going away.
Let me say this to you. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I do criminal defense work, and when I do my work, my sole task is to put the prosecution's case to proof.
Good.
to put the prosecution's case to proof. And if the prosecution case is lacking, as Johnny Cochran said in that famous O.J. Simpson case, if the glove does not fit, I am telling the jury to acquit.
Acquit, right.
If the prosecution case stands the test of time, and the prosecution comes back with the jury come back with a guilty verdict, and I think that there are problems with the case, I may advise my client to appeal, because more than once I have advised my client to appeal and they win the case on appeal. But I don't have no special fascination to say that somebody is marauding and creating havoc across the country and that person must walk free simply because I'm no defense counsel.
I wasn't saying that. I wasn't suggesting that to you, Aaron. I wasn't suggesting that. So I hope I didn't come over that way to you. But all I'm saying is that we are prepared to go to the length to ensure that this one, because we are satisfied with the evidence that we have thus far.
Okay.
That the ice cream just need to go in the cone for it to be served to the jurors. Wow. And we're prepared to go there.
Well, before you get there, you have to do an arrest. You have to make an arrest.
Yeah. Stages, Mr. Thomas. Stages. In regards to the other case, we would have sent some exhibits off to the lab. Some of the results came back. The results does not support a theory that we were working. We still await the others. That is the latest update I can give on that.
Right. Do you think that some of the persons, well, let me not ask if you think, do you have any intelligence which point to the fact that many of the people who were suspected of being involved in a homicide were killed?
They're no longer with us.
They're no longer, because there's this fashionable theory that, oh, don't bother with this. The gang members, the killers would kill off themselves. But as we are seeing, that theory don't work, right?
Right, but I don't subscribe to that notion. But for the first part of the issue that you raised, some of the suspects in some of the matters are no longer with us. That is a fact.
Have you all thought about? Oh, now the police seem to be very much concerned with blue collar crime. Blue collar crime, thieves and murderers and kidnappers and drug dealers, and there seem to be little and no regard for white collar criminals. People who engage in corrupt practices. People who corrupt the public service, people who... I have not heard any instance, except for somebody who might be working in a bank, but that's not even police work, that's the bank finding out. Why is there no emphasis at all on white collar crime?
Well, that is a very interesting question, and I'm delighted that you would have asked such. Now, Commissioner Williams cannot wake up tomorrow morning and call the Deputy Commissioner and say, I want you to start an investigation to see X about Mr. Jomo Thomas. So somebody has to initiate a complaint or a report to the police.
Right.
Or the Director of Public Prosecution, having been briefed on certain issues, mid-direct the Commissioner in writing to cause an investigation or a probe to be done in respect to X or Y. So if in response to you, if there's a need for white collar crimes to be investigated, we, from a police point of view, we await such complaint. If such complaint is made, we are obligated to investigate.
But you would know that there's more than anecdotal evidence that Kingston is a laundry, right?
Second,
You would know that there's more than anecdotal evidence that Kingston is a laundry.
I know that there's a laundry on North River Road.
Okay.
That's all. But with all seriousness, if the reports are not made, then we can't just go and start to investigate. Somebody has to lodge a complaint, and the complaint will be investigated in that regards. We await any complaint of such nature.
What's the of the 27 persons who died this year? Do you have a number that you can give to the public in terms of persons who are arrested, persons who were charged?
Yeah, we have made arrests in 8 of those matters.
8 of the
Yes,
40
yes.
of the 40 homicides last year. Can you tell us of arrests, charge, trials, any convictions?
No, we have made quite a lot of arrests, but those matters are still pending in the law court at the Supreme Court. In fact, my information is that a few of those matters will be coming up in the next exercises. I think the exercises closes this week. The court is going to go on break, and then when it resumes, few of those matters are already on the list for trial.
Very well. Does the name Barnett Junior Mackey sound familiar to you? This is apparently someone who was murdered.
Yes, I know of the name. Yes, please.
Okay. Any word on that investigation? Kiki De Silva wants to know.
That case file, that matter has been the subject of a lot of discussion. That file has been reviewed on more than one occasion by at least 2 directors of public prosecutions, seeking their advice as to the strength of the evidence that is on paper. We have not received from either of them the green light, so to speak, that they're comfortable with the evidence, that they're prepared to advise the police to go ahead and lay charge or charges against anyone so we can proceed with that matter. Suffice to say, though, that investigation is very much alive, and if there's any person out there who knows of any information or anything that can help advancing that investigation, feel free to contact the police, and we're more than willing to do the necessary investigations. Yes?
Curtis Compton says, the problem with the police after a shooting is that they move to protect the crime scene instead of looking for the shooter. And he wants to know why that is the case.
Well, that is simple. That before we go looking for shooters who we don't know, we have to go and firstly, if a shooting takes place, we have to ensure that the victim is not alive and lying there in need of medical help. So we have to attend to that scene and ensure, physically check for signs of life, and if there is, then we have to get that person off to seek medical attention in the quickest of time. If there's no sign of life, then we have to preserve whatever physical evidence is on that scene. So it's a process. It is a process. We can't go looking for someone who we don't know, or we can't go and leave the dead person on the scene or all of the exhibits there and say we're going to look for the person first and come back. It don't work like that.
Do we have a functioning fingerprint lab in St. Vincent?
not a lot, but we do have at least 3 persons among our ranks who possess the necessary skill set to look for, find, and lift fingerprints for comparison in our database. Yes, please.
And we have the machinery to compare.
And we have our AFIS machine that is up and running, and the requisite license has been paid. So we are on stream.
What about there's a persistent, consistent complaint,
yes, sir,
from people in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, particularly middle-aged and older people, about the recklessness of drivers of minivans. Has the police looked into that in any way at all, and thinking about how you can get a handle on it?
And that too is a critical concern to us. And I hear the cry on a daily basis. Yes, the traffic department continues to play their role in ensuring that our roads and our motorways are safe to be traversed by the general public. I have made a call before and continue to make the call that no person under the age of 25 and who have less than 5 to 7 years driving experience should be granted any H license to drive public service vehicle in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
I have made a similar call. I think you're absolutely right. I think 25 is even too young. I don't think it should be less than 27. So
and you have a difficulty with that.
By the time the person gets a license at 17, 18, they should have a good 10 years experience before they go. And most of these guys are driving with the left hand, and they have a phone in the right hand, or
a Guinness.
Or Guinness.
Correct. We have seen it all. And why should you raise that? I want to say to the traveling public, do not allow yourself to be driven in a passenger van, and every time the driver meets an icebox vendor or a shop, he stops and calls for a 3 for 10 or 2 Guinness and a village ram, and you sit there and allow him to drive you.
What should they do? What should that person do?
Report the matter to us.
But I think what the police should do is give up all these traffic cops in police clothes and make traffic cops undercover. So traffic police would go into these vehicles, stop them, and give them tickets. And not only tickets, take the license away so the person cannot drive a vehicle.
Point taken and noted, sir. With due consideration.
Now, I have this view, Deputy Commissioner. I don't know where you come in on it. I am of the view that, again, it goes back to fighting crime, particularly as it relates to gang violence.
Yes, sir.
That no rental vehicle should be tinted. I don't know where you come in on that.
We are at one in that regards. I strongly support any legislation in that regards. If you have vehicles that you're going to rent, it should be visible. The occupants, the entire vehicle, we should be able to see. You see some rented vehicles, and my gosh, when it's about to rain, the mountain range is not that dark. You can't see any. You can't see the driver. You can't see, the only thing that you see approaching you is a vehicle. You don't have a clue who is behind of the wheels.
I am also of the view that no vehicle at all should have a tinted front windscreen where you cannot see the driver.
We are one there, and I'm hoping. I know that documentation has been sent to the Office of the Attorney General for consideration with regards to tinting of vehicles. I am extremely hopeful that in the not too distant future, we will hear at the sitting of Parliament that the requisite debates are have, and that it will be law prohibiting such use of tint on the vehicles.
I know some their grades, you know, some of them, if you notice, like they are manufactured tints,
Correct.
and I don't think there should anything beyond the manufactured
Beyond that.
tints.
Yeah.
But some people say it's they have a right to privacy.
At home.
Being the legal person that I am, I tell people you don't have a right to privacy in a public place.
At home, you have that at home, not in the public space.
Indeed.
And whilst you say that, I want to say to my officers as well, and you know we're fast approaching 10 o'clock, that any person can take his or her phone and record you when you're performing your duties in the public. You don't have the right to go and take away anybody's phone.
Thank you.
And you shouldn't get upset if you're operating or you're performing your duties in the manner in which you should, and somebody is recording you. You don't have to be sidetracked. You don't have to be sidetracked by that. Allow that person to take his or her video and spread the message to the rest of the world. Here's how our police and civil secretaries operate in a professional manner. So you don't have to go and try and get into any confrontation with anyone to say you can't take out my photo and you're standing in the public road outside Sacred Graves speaking to a van driver. No, concentrate on the work that you're doing and pay no regards to the person who's taking your photo. I just want to say that.
Another question. Lily Brown wants to know if the cameras in and around Kingston are functional. With all of these criminal activities we're seeing and people are running away. The classic example of that is the homicide relating to Sangha, where the cameras picked up that man and then the man just disappeared. Do we have any intelligence on that, or are we moving from the position of the head of the snake, as one politician said, has been chopped off?
I make no reference to no association with that comment. We investigate each homicide in St. Vincent and Grenadines with the same equal amount of seriousness. Yes, there are some challenges in some areas in Kingston. Some of the cameras are up and running, but we're experiencing a bit of challenge in some areas, and hopefully we can be up and running fully again in the not too distant future. But there are some challenges, yes.
Okay. Mark Villi says the tinting of vehicles won't pass because the big boys in the force always have something to hide. Somebody to hide.
I mean no reference to that.
You take as the Americans would say, you take the fifth.
No. There's not everything that you have to. The point is noted, but you don't have to respond to everything. And that's what I'm not responding to.
Everything. All right. Deputy Commissioner Bailey, I want to thank you so much for coming in and talking to us. As is well established, you have always made yourself amenable to the public to talk about issues regarding policing. You were out front in talking about the existence of gangs in St. Vincent. We are at 10 o'clock, so I don't want us, the lawyer that I am, I don't want us to go on illegally. I want to thank you for coming in. I want to thank those persons who called. I want to thank those persons who stayed with us for all but 2 hours. There are so many other things that you could have done, but you remained here with voices. Remember, read, pay close attention, because what you don't know can kill you. Until next week, this is Jomo Thomas saying good night from Voices.
Thank you, sir. Good evening.
Thank you.
WeFM 99.9 presents Voices, a talk show that's not just new, it's phenomenal.